Simon is with me here in studio, and I want to get into this, Simon, because basically we're looking at it, and we're looking at Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
And its influence when it comes to staging huge fights like this.
It's money.
And this is huge.
Yeah, it's money.
But can you separate and make the argument for the Saudis' genuine appetite for sporting growth at the same time against their attempts to sports wash?
Well, of course you can, because they're not mutually exclusive. I mean, of course you can make the argument. There's no debate that they want sporting excellence within the confines of their own countries, and they'll want to see sport as part and parcel of the outlook and excellence within the confines of their own population. No one suggested that they haven't.
Right.
But they're leveraging aspects of sport to enhance other aspects of their positioning in the world. And that's just a statement of fact. It's just a simple fact.
The Saudis are doing this for profile. For profile. And Eddie Hearn has bought into the fact that the Saudis are doing this for profile. When Eddie says, our government could learn a lot from the way Saudi are investing in the grassroots of boxing. Participation's up 300% in amateur boxing clubs since the Ruiz fight. There's a genuine interest in the sport. Does there need to be more change? Loads of it. Is there change? I see it.
Well, I think that's a bit rich.
Our government could learn a lot from the way Saudi are doing it.
I think that's a bit rich from Eddie, because the only reason he's over there is because he's being paid an inordinate amount of money and earning an enormous amount of money. And I think he should wind it back a little bit, because there's a great deal of disingenuity. And there is a lot of things about Saudi Arabia that should trouble a lot of people. And Eddie sitting over there suggesting that he can lecture people. Of course, we need more investment in this country. We know that the investment structure of this country in terms of a lot of things, whether it's our healthcare through to our sports, leaves a lot to be desired. Right? But I really don't feel that we need a lecture from Eddie Hearn. I really don't think he's the moral compass on this argument, because he would go anywhere if there was a pound note at the end of it. So with the greatest respect, which means none, I think that should be something that Eddie winds it in. Right? If you want to sit there blowing smoke up Crown Prince Khalid's backside all afternoon, that's your business. But don't come start lecturing the rest of us about how the world should see things. You want to be a grassroots funder? Get your hand in your pocket. You can fund as many boxers and sparers as you want during the course of your time, because you've made millions out of boxing. That annoys me, because that's one thing suggesting that this is a great place for boxing to be, and understanding that the Saudis are developing things for their own people and developing sport, to push back against the argument this is only one thing and one thing only. But leave off with the comparison. You're stretching the envelope a little bit far. That's something I think is a little bit too much from you, because the only reason you're there is because of the dough.
But it is about one thing and one thing only, Simon, isn't it?
No, it's not. Well,
it's about money, and being able to do anything with the amounts of money that's available to them.
Yes.
And sports washing.
But you framed the question slightly differently. The question was framed, can you separate the two? Can you suggest that there was two different agendas? One is to develop sport in your own country, and the other is to develop an influence around the world by using sport. And yes, you can, because it would be silly not to, because the argument is being proven by the fact that they are building a boxing regime over there. There's lots of development in the amateur game. There's lots more fights happening over there. There's lots more of the indigenous population that are wanting to be involved in boxing. There's a lot more investment. But the central theme, let's be honest about it, is the idea that they can utilise and lever and leverage sport into positioning their opportunities for tourism, worldwide influence in a way, and sport is a huge emotional lever that you can pull.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that it's not in Saudi Arabia for any other reason than they're the highest bidder. They're the ones that will pay £92 million for a facility fee. It doesn't crackle with the authenticity and the vitality and the energy of boxing when we see it in this country or see it in America, but it's there and there for one reason, and it's not something we're going to overcome, because sport runs, it's like a moth to the light. It runs to where the pound is, where the money is.
So you're saying, come on, Eddie, it's too much to say our government could learn a lot from the way Saudi are investing in the grassroots of boxing there. That's too much.
I'm saying
our government should learn from the Saudis.
I'm saying I'm not going to take a lecture, a moral lecture, and neither should anybody in this country from the Hearns.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.